Hello, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. No Rhett here because my son dropped off all his dogs, so we got a house full of dogs. And he actually came over this morning because my favorite football team, American professional football team, is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they played in Ireland today, and it was at 9:30 a.m. in the morning here in the states. So we watched that, and they won. I know that the majority of people that watch my videos are not in the United States. And if you're not in the United States, there's a chance that you have not selected a favorite American NFL football team to like. I would strongly suggest the Pittsburgh Steelers because they are very beloved throughout the United States. So if you were to come to the United States, you're likely to find other Pittsburgh Steelers fans around you, no matter where you end up. And it's just they're a very fun team to watch, uh, and their colors are really cool, and the it's just a neat thing. So we are, sort of finishing up this application, and we sort of, when I first started this, I knew that we were on what you would call the bleeding edge of technology here. And the bleeding edge is when you not only are is it possible, like the difference between the bleeding edge and the cutting edge is that on the cutting edge you have to be very careful or you're going to cut yourself. You're going to somehow hurt yourself while you're trying to use it. You're going to do something where you really strongly regret it. On the bleeding edge, there's 100% chance that you're going to have bad outcomes. And those bad outcomes aren't always necessarily because of technology. So, like, I built this entire thing, this entire tab here, specifically to sort of be able to determine, like, it's very possible that one day I'll come up here, I'll bring this page up, and like all of these will be red, or like this whole thing is just gonna be completely messed up and all that. If that were to happen, in all likelihood, this code just is not recoverable. We just have to start from scratch. Um, but it is also positive that possible that we'll just see one or two little changes or something. And then, so this would be a page that would be good. Like if you'd built an application in this and you were trying to determine quickly, okay, should I just give up on the application I have or not? This would be a good first place to look to see, like, okay, how much has the actual API changed? Also, we are still in the WebKit version of it, and I think WebKit really means that it's just the browser people just built what they wanted to build. That the standards aren't really, it's not really feasible to build to the standards, and they're not reliably going to stay as they are and all that. But the one thing that I learned yesterday when we were working on this page here, what could go wrong, is that we are actually on the bleeding edge also with the legal considerations. Legally, we are very, very likely to find ourselves, not very likely, it is, there's a possibility that we'll find ourselves like in a situation where someone's saying, you tricked people into sharing their data. Like, people came to your website thinking that they were at a safe website, but in actual reality, you were sharing all their data with Microsoft or with Google or with whoever. Like, some third party could build their own browser and then push your stuff to some other cloud server and all that. And I don't even know like what kinds of data could be stored about you based on your voice. But I think there is a lot more data than we think there is baked into our voice that can be things that could be thought about you. So when I do this, if I hit discrete and I say, hello, what time is it? A lot of information has been sent to Google. And if you're using Edge, a lot of information was sent to Edge. But nowhere did I ever inform anybody that um, information was sent to those places. Um, so we're kind of like in a situation where like we don't really understand what's going on. I don't know if I mentioned. I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't know if I mentioned it, but like when I first started developing software, there was a lot of fear that if you copied code from like Stack Overflow or if you went to some website and copied code and then that code was later discovered in the code base for the company you're working for, that the company might get sued for copyright. Um, and that used to be something we were very, very concerned about. And then now no one ever talks about that. That's not even a thing. Like it never became anything. And then on the other hand, the cookies thing, now like there's all these laws and stuff that you have to tell people what you're doing with cookies and stuff like that. Um, they were really the same. They were both kind of like, yeah, this could be an issue, but they didn't. But now that we know that it's an issue, I think it is absolutely important that we maybe add like an icon in these buttons or next to these buttons or something, or maybe something like right here and right here that looks like an exclamation mark that, uh, or like a warning, and then it says warning. This website um, or this technology uses cloud resources, and y- your data may or may not be being stored by those cloud resource vendors. Um, probably really need to add that. While it doesn't seem like an important thing right now, it probably is. So I think that is the next step. But before I do that, I do want to kind of just take another look at this and just eyeball this voice version, how it works and what we do. Topics. This site uses your browser's built-in speech features or third-party cloud speech services depending on the browser and configuration. When the recognition runs, audio may be transferred, not maybe, is transmitted to the browser's vendor speech servers. For example, Google for Chrome, Microsoft for Edge, or to cloud speech provider if we call a cloud SDK directly, which we don't. But someone could take this code and add that. Um, we do not store your raw audio. Servers, third-party browsers, vendors, or cloud may log or retain audio transcripts. See their privacy policies below. So that's good. Depending on how your location, laws like GDPR or CCPA may require explicit disclosure and consent. If you use this feature in a sensitive context, health, legal, children, additional rules may apply. Common practice to show clear notice. Ask the user after what others. So that's pretty good. This site uses your browsers. Helpful links, and then ways to reduce risk. So this is on what could go wrong, and I think that makes sense. I think it looks really good. I didn't quite read through this. So I think before I were to publish this, I should actually read everything that I published. Offer an explicit enable voice button so users intentionally opt in. So we do that. Provide a short disclaimer above the link to third party. Where possible, use on-device recognition or give local only option to avoid. So that's not even possible. If you rely on cloud speech for sensitive data, consider contractual compliance steps. So yeah, we're not going to do that. But we are going to add a little question or a little explanation mark there that does have basically wrong one. Basically this right here with these links. So that's what we're going to do. And so where are we now though? I wonder if this is probably a good point to actually do let's change that to coming soon. Okay. So, so that's nice. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and commit this stuff. Um, Git add dot git commit dash m adds what could go wrong. This whole thing is what could go wrong, right? And then we specifically added I don't know. I don't know what to say. Text. But in reading that text, I found like sort of a new thing that I should probably do. And I do think it's irresponsible not to do things like this if you know them. You know, it's like one thing like if you go out and you can be like, "Oh, I didn't know," you know, like, and you legitimately didn't know that, like, it's very possible to use this API and never realize that it is using a third-party cloud service. Like, it'd be very easy to think, "Oh, this is something that's just like any other JavaScript and all that." But like, if you do know better, you shouldn't. You should take care of that. Um, Now, I guess what we probably want this thing to, since it affects both, um, since it goes in two places, right? It goes in continuous and in discrete, but and then since we split up continuous and discrete, I guess I think we also have what indicators. Maybe this falls under indicators. Like maybe this should be warning indicator because I think what they typically is wrong one. Well, that one didn't. Yeah, see, I think this is a pretty typical sort of layout for us for the indicators. Like this is a very good example of our indicator, and then that could have all the content for the pop-up, and it could probably do like its own little dialog box the way this thing does. So I think that's the approach you want to take. So I'm wondering, I usually have everything in my packages, like all the past creation. I did not do that in this one though. That's kind of a bummer. Is that even right? I don't even think that's the right one. Yeah. What in the world? What in the world? So to open some other package file on my machine. Yeah, so this is like a very typical thing for me to do is to add all these, and it just makes it a lot easier. Like in this example, like this time, this is saving me a ton of time because I'm like, oh, okay. Um, Warning indicator. And we're going to ng is to run the ng. It's going to run the CLI that exists in this node modules because it's run in this context from npm. Most examples that you ever see when they tell you, oh, use the CLI to create something, they kind of assume that you only have one project on your screen or in your system, or all your projects are running in the same version. If you do it this way, then it runs in the context of your project, not any other project. And you saw just a second ago how confusing this can all get because I tried to go to my package. I did Control P package, and it took me to package to some other project that I'm working on. So it's indicators, and I like that, and it's warning indicator. I don't think I need to get more specific. Like it might make sense to say like legal warning indicator, but for now I'm just going to assume that if I ever get any other kinds of warnings, I'll put them all in there. I think that's a good assumption. And this is the kind of thing that kind of will make, I found, like when I've worked on big efforts, organizational efforts to try to get something done, right at the end, all these little sorts of ticky-tacky things just start to creep up. And this is like, just par for the course. So anyway, so now I have this, and I can just say npm start, nope, npm run warning indicator. And I always like to imagine what's going to happen, and what I believe is going to happen is that we will go into the source, and inside of our component, inside of indicators, we'll get a new folder called warning indicator. So that's what we're expecting to happen. Hit enter. We're watching, and we're watching, and we're go Pittsburgh Steelers, woo, woo, woo. Really had a good time watching that game this morning. It would have been fun to be in Ireland for that. I've been to Ireland one time. It was really, really fun. There we go. Warning indicator. Let's see. I noticed that, yeah, another project I have, we were doing, like, it was saying app, whatever, something I was doing. I think what must have been happening is in the command, I must have been typing app _ warning indicator or something like that. But anyways, here we go. So now we want to, it's going to go in two places. One is going to be inside of the discrete component, and the other is going to be inside of the continuous component. And those two components are inside of the tab component. So you see that, I think that makes sense. So basically inside of continuous, we have this HTML, and we have our settings, and right next to that, we are going to have, it seems like it should go along inside of this buttons div. We have a div apparently that holds all our buttons. Okay, so we have this error, and this error is an expected error. It's because we have not imported it, and this is a standalone component. So if I were to hit save right now, when we come over here, we'll see our error saying that it doesn't know what it is. And the way you solve that is by just adding it to your components, your imports, and you want to do the class name. So you could see the class name if you go to indicators and you go into here. This is the class name. So basically, I typically just want to copy this. Copy. So I am not going to be doing anything on Tuesday because I'm going into the office on Tuesday. There's some things about going to the office that's just really fun. So that's discrete. So warning indicator works. So basically we want to see the same thing in discrete. So this time we'll go a different route. We'll pull in the component first. Right, so control copy. Warning indicator, I guess. I don't know. Guess I should put that last. And then it's always good to see that blue thing and then sort of just double check. I think I want to remove this record component just so it's in alphabetical order. Just a habit, like sometimes you just want to feed your good habits and starve your bad habits. And so that would be an example of a good habit that I would like to feed. And then you want to use your app warning indicator selector. And you want to go into your HTML into your markup, and I think it's probably the same, yeah, same pattern. So inside of our buttons class, and it is happy with that. And that is that. So next week, next Saturday, we will turn this into like a red exclamation mark. All of that will be done in the indicator component itself, and then we'll probably have it pop up a dialog like this, and that can be handled completely inside the indicator as well. I don't know why it's scrolling down, and I don't even know if I care too much. I feel like this is pretty above and beyond, and there's so much like, so what if they have to scroll? I mean, I don't think it'd be hard to set it up to do that. This would be like let's say like this would be a great introductory bug for someone to work on. Like if somebody came in, they're like, I'm a UI developer. This would be a great, because it's probably like getting this to look right and all that. It's probably just a couple lines of code, but you would get the whole, okay, how do we do our merges? How do we do, like you would get all the sort of steps to getting work done. But and then have it scroll to the top. That should be something that shouldn't be too bad. Maybe you'd even want this to be like static, so that if you scroll down, the only thing that's scrolling is this part, but you see what could go wrong at the top. I mean, there's just so many things that you could do to make things better, but for now, this is where we're at. I may change my mind and decide to do all that, but I'm going to add my warning indicator icon there and a thing, and basically it's going to have that text of, I'm not selling any of your data. I have no interest in your data. I mean, other than like knowing who you are as a human being, just one human to another, but I don't have any other motivation beyond that to know your data. Whereas like, there are people that want to use your data for a myriad of reasons, and some of them are in your best interest, some of them are not, and I don't know. And Microsoft and Google right now, when I type this or when I hit this button and I agree, and it's sending my data, it's sending information about me, and they can figure out exactly who I am based on my voice. So it's not like there's no animosity, there's nothing like secret going on, like it's like Marty the JavaScript party said these words, and we have that stored, and these were his inflections, these were all kinds of information that's in there. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.